afternoon. I pray that your Wednesday was filled with spaces and places of joy, of laughter, of peace, and maybe you even had a aha moment. A aha moment where it's like, something came together, something clicked for you. Even if it was, oh, you know what? I never tried eating bananas and peanut butter, but I tried it and it's actually good. I'm just using that for an example because I've never tried it, but it's an aha moment. Maybe you gained some clarity in your life. Maybe for the first time you were honest with yourself. I pray that your Wednesday found you spaces and places that you could say that was a good day. We continue in our conversation about change and the stages of change. And we've been talking about the different stages thus far. We've talked about pre-contemplation, where you know that you're doing something or you're in a situation and it may not be the best, but you really have no intentions, haven't even thought about changing it. And then in contemplation, you begin to think about the pluses and minuses. You begin to assess, okay, what is it that I'm getting from this situation or from this behavior, and how might it be negatively impacting me? Today, the next stage is talking about preparation or determination. And a lot of people skip this stage. They go straight from, well, this is the pluses and minuses. Let me jump straight into doing it. And I'm going to use dieting for an example, I'm going to use dieting first as an example. You know, you may have not noticed as your clothes were getting bigger and you were thinking something was wrong with your dryer. That was pre-contemplation. In contemplation, you realize that as much as you like to eat, the food tastes good and having enough means that you are well fed, but the cons are that you are gaining weight, your breathing is becoming a little bit more challenging, your knees and joints are starting to hurt, your clothes are starting not to fit, and it's becoming expensive finding cute stuff in larger sizes. And at this point, some people jump straight from there into the latest fad, the latest diet. They jump straight into it. And then they wonder why it doesn't really work. They wonder why they struggle. They wonder why it just feels like a chore. And that's why I want to suggest we cannot skip the stage, which is preparation. And using the same example, so let's say if you decided, okay, I want to get my health together, I want to lose some weight, I'm going to start with detoxing. A good place to start could be, let me just kind of research and look at different methods. Let's see what's healthy. Let's see if there are things I can do that may give me more of a benefit. Maybe I'll have a conversation with someone who I know who has lost weight and ask them how they did it, how they were successful. That's all a part of preparation, okay? Maybe you've identified something that you would like to do. Maybe you would like to detox your body, or maybe you would like to do a fast. A number of people at the beginning of the year do what's called a Daniel fast, where for 21 days, they slowly eliminate things from your diet and then they slowly add them back in. But one of the things that people miss is a lot of times it's recommended in preparation for any type of fast is to slowly begin to wean yourself off of the carbs, slowly begin to get rid of the sugars in your diet, slowly begin to add more fruits and add more vegetables so that your body's not all of a sudden slammed, okay? And so I had said I would use examples from my book because my book doesn't talk about dieting. It talked about from the standpoint of me going from addiction to a place of being victorious over that addiction. And as I was preparing for this, I was trying to think what my preparation stage was. And my preparation stage was very, very quick because as I stated in my book, I had been using for about 18 years and it was a problem. It was definitely a problem. I was a single mom. I had 2 small children and I was doing everything I could to try to hold things together. My salary did not meet the cost of all my bills. And at the time, the father of my children refused to give me any support, any child support whatsoever. And so I continued to do what I knew best. I continued to find ways to stay high. But I knew that that was not going to last. I knew that eventually I was probably going to lose my job. And I began to envision me and my children living in a shelter or living on the street. And I knew I did not want to do that. But I had not. So I began to look at the pluses. I began to look at the minuses, but I didn't have a plan of how to move forward. And then I hadn't really considered a plan. And then one day I came to work after a 4th of July weekend, and I was sharing with a coworker who had asked me how was my holiday. And I told him, I took a whole lot of stuff and I just could not get high. I just could not get high. And he looked at me and he invited me to a meeting. And for me, that was my short window of preparation, the time period that it took me to say yes, that I would go to the meeting with him. I had not committed to not using. I had not committed to anything other than saying yes, that I would go and be open, that I would just go. To make a long story short, and we can continue with that story, it was probably the best decision I've ever made in my entire life. So I invite you, as you think about whatever it is that you have identified, whatever behavior you want to change. Some people said their relationship with money. Some people talked about their relationship with food. Some people talked about their interpersonal relationships, how they treat their children, or estranged relationships, or challenges in their relationships with their partner or their spouse. As you begin to think about the pluses and minuses and identifying what may need to be changed, your period of preparation could be doing some research. Do you possibly need to identify a counselor? At the bottom of my posts, I always include something. If you need support, I have a link that you can click on where you can engage with a counselor. Maybe your preparation is to begin to do your own self-inventory to see how you may be contributing to the challenges in the relationship. Maybe if your thing you want to change is your relationship with money, maybe preparation is to get all of your bills together, to just take note of how you spend your money. Maybe for a week, do a spending journal and write down every time that you spend money. Because truth be told, a lot of times we just spend, particularly with using our credit cards, and we're not necessarily all that cognizant of where did the money go. Back when I was a young person and first starting out, and we didn't have debit and credit cards, you balanced your checkbook. And if you were diligent, you kind of knew what you had. But for some of us, you may be able to relate. One of the reasons why I don't keep cash money on me, because I can have a $20 bill and turn around and have no clear memory of what I spent the money on. I just know it's gone. The $20 didn't last very long, and that could be $100 or whatever. And so a time of preparation and changing your relationship with money may simply being a log. If you want to change your relationship with food because you've gained weight, again, maybe just doing a food log for a couple of days or for a week, just writing down what you ate. But in addition, you can do the same thing with the money log, what you ate or what you spent and how you were feeling. What generated that purchase? What generated eating those cookies? Were you actually hungry? Were you just bored? Were you sad? Were you excited? Were you just repetitively eating because you had just gotten into a rhythm? Did you make that purchase because you've been social distancing and social media has been giving us these ads of all these gadgets we just have to have, and we just started ordering stuff? If what you want to change is your relationship, again, you may want to do like a brief little timeline of the last couple of times, noting when you all were happy and when you weren't, and see if there's any type of pattern. Is there a particular time of the month when things go awry? Is it around when it's time for bills? Maybe there's different times of the year that you all do better together. Looking at your relationship with your children, you can also note when you feel kinder to them and not. This is all about preparation, and I invite you to take this step to prepare to make the change. Don't jump and make the change, but just to prepare and to do it on purpose. You ask me why, you'll thank me later. Have a wonderful day, and I love each and every one of you. Bye-bye.